Hi, it's Pete. Hi, it's Pete the Polymath, back again to explain the great mysteries of life. And this time I want to solve one of the most plaguing problems that humanity has been struggling with for all of these millennia. Before I get into that, you know the name of the video, the Atheist Messiah. Now, if we were to have some idea of a Messiah has returned, then perhaps we can actually have peace on earth. That is what the people waiting for the great Messiah are expecting. And so there's a thing that's called the self-fulfilling prophecy, where we recognize what it is that has been written in the scriptures, and then we cause it to happen deliberately. Now, this has happened many times in the ancients, the scripture stuff. But also, each of those great masters, the prophets and Jesus and going back to Buddha and stuff, they were probably great people in their time. But it was the elaboration of their ideas by the people who followed that then became the sacred texts that were then passed on. And also we have people like Galileo, we have Darwin, we have Einstein. We have people who started off their lives as ordinary people. They did the necessary work in order to gain insights into the foundations of what it is they were working with, and then they had the insights, and they caused the revolutions that then continued to cause subsequent revolutions. And so when you say something like Darwin, well, he did amazing work, but he also made mistakes, and he didn't know anything about genetics. He didn't know anything about a lot of stuff. But he started this direction, and we have just gone with that, and we've applied it to all these incredible things, and now we have this amazing world. Now, if we have this concept called war is something we're dealing with now, and it seems like it's something we've been dealing with for a long time. Back in the old days, we were just using swords and arrows, but now we're using hypersonic missiles and radar systems, and we've got satellites, and we've got submarines, and we've got these bizarre, enormously expensive weaponry. And I Googled it, and the world is spending something like $3.7 trillion per year on the weaponry. And then if you Google what the damage of the wars are actually doing to the infrastructures of these countries that are being sort of bombed and stuff, then that ends up being something like $17 trillion, right? And then there's no real way of gauging the numbers of deaths. We do that somehow, and the numbers of people who are directly injured, and the number of people who are psychologically sort of traumatized. You know, people who have to grow up from a childhood through without a parent for some reason, or have to live in some toxic, depleted uranium kind of place with landmines that have been left there for the last 30 years. You might just step on, or it might just blow up your donkey or something. We've got this enormous cost of war. So if there was a strategy that we as humanity could develop that could end all wars, then that would be an enormous advantage, wouldn't it? And if there was a strategy that someone, like me, for instance, could develop, then that would seem like something that their Messiah would do. Like the Messiah will come and sort of stop all wars. Now, I'm an atheist. I have no association with any religion, and I don't believe in any God. But look at me. I'm born in the image of the creation process. Now, if that's your God, like evolution, I'm born in the image of that. I'm born in the image of my ancestors, all that kind of stuff. I'm born in that image. I'm not born in the image of other people who use it as some kind of foundation and then elaborate and do crazy, wonderful, exotic things to it. No, I'm living an authentic life as much as I can in this strange time in order to have the insights required to solve the problems. Like 40 years ago, I first started, I had a radio program called Climate for Change after going to a climate change conference. The first one in Australia, then I went to the second one in Australia, then I went to the 20th one in Australia, at which time I was, out of the 600 delegates, I was the only one who bought a ticket. All the rest of them, professionals, sent there by their organisation. I complained to the Hilton Hotel, or that it was in the Hilton Hotel, because I paid $3,000 for that. Because they could just charge as much as they wanted for all these fancy hors d'oeuvres and stuff. So right back then I thought, well, I can't let this concept of me being a Messiah, like I'm trying to save the world, and that's exactly what a Messiah would do. But I'm not a Messiah. I'm just a guy who's spent the time and trouble to try and understand everything that is possible to define what a situation is. And I've, of course, had to begin with myself and understand what it is that we are as physical beings, as neurological beings, as conscious entities, and what it is we are as society, and what it is we are as ecosystems and biosphere and all of that. I've needed to absorb all of that because that is the context in which we exist. Now, so if we can convince these religious people that the Messiah has actually come and he doesn't belong to your religion, he doesn't belong to someone else's religion, he's actually totally neutral on all religions. In fact, he's come to put an end to them all and bring in this age that they have been hoping for, which will be this age of peace and love and prosperity and harmony. And we stop all the pollution, we stop all of the crime, we stop all the drug abuse, we stop all the wars, we stop the climate change, we stop all of that stuff. We use all of the resources that were wasted on all of these wars and things like that, on building up our communities and embellishing our way of life. Like how many soldiers are there that are just, their whole lives are not benefiting humanity at all? So if we take them out of the military and we actually sort of put them in places like, okay, we've got 40,000 people we can employ removing all of the ferals from this area, take out all of the weeds, take out all of the introduced species and stuff, and let's bring this place back into pristine. We can do that. We've got the resources, we've got the opportunity. We've now got AI that can help us with all this research and this understanding and stuff. We just need to know how to use it. Otherwise, it will just be using us. It'll be sort of replacing all of our entertainment with its own fiction. We'll become addicted to that. We'll have outsourced our need to think and our need to try and do anything. Like, just think about the course we're taking, right? It seems like we're heading towards Armageddon, and that's the reason why the Gulf Wars happened in the first place. It's trying to initiate the end of the world, at which time the Messiah will appear, right? So it's a hard job. And I know it sounds crazy, but I seem to be the one who is qualified to do that kind of stuff. And also, I've done the research. I don't think I'm not starting a cult. I'm not even starting an alternative religion. I'm starting something of an universal search and application for truth. So I can tell you what I've surmised about reality in the world. I've done all of that. You've watched my last sort of 8 videos, and you'll probably watch the next of 10. You're on my path. Look at the comments that are coming in on my videos. Read them. Go through those things and read them. Listen to the questions that have been asked. Listen to the things that people have given me as their insights into reality, and the responses that I've made to them. Those 400 new subscribers in the last week. all of them who have written something, I have written in response to them. Now, I can't keep that up, obviously, but this will continue to be part of the back catalogue and stuff. But you can see that what I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to start a cult. I'm trying to end all cults by bringing in a new kind of way of understanding ourselves as humans. We recognise what it is we've come from. We recognise what it is we're involved in. We recognise what it is we are trying to create in the future. And that is heaven on earth, within creation, forever. Now, that is the life after death that I'm talking about here, although we can bring about a lot of that kind of stuff before we get to retire ourselves. We could have made enormous changes by then. But what's life after death? We are life after the death of our ancestors. And so those distant descendants, well, they are literally the life after our death. Our efforts change the future so that they will be created in their place, in their form, with their minds and their world. And it will be what it is that we provide the foundations for. If we outsource that, we say, I'm not going to be bothered making the future, someone else can do that. Well, we then have the greatest idiot in the world in charge of America. And all his minions have been selected because they are equally uneducated idiots. And well, they say power corrupts ultimately. Well, it's ultimately corrupted most of the people in power in the world. So we need to actually have polymaths running the governments, running the world. We need polymaths. But in order for polymaths to be trusted, well, you need the population to have gained a certain level of understanding of these things. So rather than being entertained, we should be educating ourselves. Go into all of the YouTube channels that are absolutely dedicated to educating you into all of the possible sciences. And if you are stuck within a religion and you believe that I'm the Antichrist or the devil or some kind of absurd thing like that, you need to look at the YouTubes where the historians and the ex-religious and the philosophers can take apart what it is that you've founded your religion on. And it will be gone. It'll be replaced by the truth. Just as if you were a flat earther or a chemtrail believer or an anti-vaxxer. You need to do enough study to find out why everyone else thinks you're wrong. Now, I made mistakes when I was younger and that sort of thing. I remember in 1985, I was working in Darwin in the hospital there taking x-rays, and I made a statement about the way this mobile x-ray machine worked. And everyone else there said, no, it doesn't work that way. And I said, it does work that way. They all work that way. I know how it works. And so I then conducted an entire series of amazing sort of experimental things with the moving X-ray tube swinging and taking exposure over a step wedge made of aluminium, and just to see how different kinds of radiation were sort of dissipating as time went by. Was it the energy level? Was it the quality? Like what kind of things were changing as the exposure progressed? I made all these enormous experiments, and then I presented my findings and I said, there, I've proven that I am right. And everyone said, well, we submit, like you've done it, like you've done the hard work. We have to agree with you. And then I went to bed and next day, and so things started sort of worrying. I'm starting to worry about this thing. And I realised what I'd been trying to do was I was trying to prove that I was right. And I realised that I could now construct an entirely different set of experiments to see if I could prove that I was wrong. I proved that I was wrong. The truth actually lay between my initial idea and their initial idea. There was a combination of falling load and transformer. There was a combination of these two things that made this mobile X-ray machine work. So just because you think you're right doesn't mean you're right. But with science, we're finding truth. And the truth we find, that's the same truth that everyone else would find if they study the same thing. We might have disagreements, we argue through those things, we find out false assumptions, we find there's areas where we need to expand and go and develop and sort of stuff. We do all that kind of stuff. We become one. We become this enlightened society. We dodge the extinction event that we have been anticipating. We end up being a species that lives on for millions more years. And there'll then be 1 billion more people born. And each one will have a consciousness that is identical to us. They will be born into the world exactly as we are born into it, with exactly the same sort of biochemistry, from exactly the same immortal threads going through the cytoplasm, in the same kind of immortal gene pools, within the same kind of immortal biosphere. We master reality. All that money we're spending on wars and stuff, we can solve all the poverty issues in the world, all the bad things that are happening, and we can develop these massive telescopes and computers and we can do everything, anything. We can do amazing things. So I'm the atheist, and treat me like I'm the Messiah. I'm not supernatural. I'm just this guy, you know. I'm just a naughty boy. I'm just doing my best in a time that is just getting crazier and crazier. And if we don't wake up to ourselves, then we'll be enslaved either by some bizarre theocracy or some authoritarian fascist system, or we are just degraded, spending so much money on trying to recover from one climate-caused catastrophe to the next one, and poverty and sort of stuff. And like, we break that cycle. And we put years of dedication into it. It'll take us 3 years to get together to the point where we can combine together as these massed choirs of overtone singers who proclaim the glory of what we are as humanity. We become able to accept everyone, all their differences. We combine and we trust and we care for everyone. We can do it all. But people are just too cynical, and they've been ripped off, misled so many times. So this is my chance. This is my grand thing. This is what I've been building up towards with these 7,500 views in the past week. and the algorithm, the analytics page says that my number of subscriptions has gone up 999%, and I think that is just because it doesn't go any higher than that. So it's up to you to spread it, right? Now, I don't want you to just sit on this and just hide it. I want you to make sure that everyone finds out about this. I want them all to argue about it. I want them all to do their research. I want them all to listen to what I've been saying, because I'm not making anything up. All I'm doing is accepting understanding. I'm modelling all of the available sciences, all 36 categories of knowledge. I'm modelling the whole lot into one. It can be done. We're so accustomed to understanding that we're just reductionists. We just specialise in this and know nothing at all about that. Well, we need those people. But now we need those people to become polymaths so that they can contextualise what it is that they understand in their speciality. And each of us has to understand enough so that we can understand what they're trying to explain to us. And if you understand my knowledge video, that's what I'm trying to explain. You have to get to a level where you can understand what the experts are saying. And therefore, you move yourself up. You graduate to the next level. But you have to do that repetition. Just like a musician doesn't play a tune once and sort of say, well, I can do it now. Well, no, you've got to play every tune. You can come back and play that tune better next time. And after that, it'll be better again. You just play every tune, every way, better and better until eventually you're a master. And that's what we do with education. Anyway, Pete the Polymath here, and I hope you've gotten to the end of this spiel, because it's another big one, and I know attention spans can be minuscule in this age, but congratulations, you've made the effort. Give me that like, that subscribe, that comment, and that share. That's all we can do. Thank you very much. Pete the Polymath saying goodbye, and wait for my next one. It will be equally bizarre and amazing. Thank you. Bye then.